there is power there for my partner. Not that he would misuse it, but I don't have that financial power. So
Hello, my name is Stella. I work as personal trainer for financial life planning. I welcome you to this buzzcast, conceiving, giving birth, sleepless night, sharing responsibility, motherhood. Yes, today we will be talking about motherhood, the good and the bad. What is being a mom? What is being a housewife? What does that mean? We oftentimes tend to underestimate the meaning of motherhood. That is why my guest and I today, we want to share, we want to highlight the importance of motherhood, of being a housewife through our conversation. Rozanne de Vries, welcome.
thank you. Thank you, Stella, for the invite, for having me.
The pleasure is all mine, Rosanna. Rosanna and I, we went to college together. At that time, we had all different lifestyles. I was already a mom. I was working. I had a whole life ahead besides being a student. And I was a bit older. And she, on the other hand, she was still very young, living home, living her best life. So from both perspectives, we will be sharing our experience. Rosanna, will you introduce yourself?
So I'm Rozanne, 30 years old. I started off my life in Bergen. That's a little town next to the town where we studied, Alkmaar. And currently I'm in Cape Town with 2 small children and a partner. And yeah, a stay-at-home mom full-time. So
Which is amazing.
I think it's a big blessing. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Would you imagine that in the time that you were doing your study, doing your college, I haven't mentioned, but Rozanne, she worked as e-commerce project manager. She was a business analyst, head of e-commerce analytics. So how you go from there to being a full-time mom and partner?
So I think I always battled with finding my true passion in work or studying as well. So I always chose the most broad studies. I think the study we did was one of them. It was management, economics, and law. So it was a bunch of subjects together. As even my master's degree, I did the same, was also business administration. I never really specialized or found what would be my passion within the work field. It was a lot of like go with the flow, and that's how I ended up in the roles that I ended up in. I definitely enjoyed working. I think there was I always told my friends like I would love to become a young mother, but I do think that in the environment where I grew up, that's something that's not as not per se as that aspirational is an issue, but it's normal that people would build their career first, that women would first build their career and then have children. So I had the wish, but in my current environment, I think it wasn't a realistic thing. It wasn't on the forefront in my mind because, it was just not the way how people done it. But luckily, things did play out differently. So
How do you go from not really finding your passion professionally wise, studying, growing up in a very safe environment where most things were practically taken care of for you, to moving to Cape Town,
yes,
being the head of e-commerce, working as freelancer as well. I know that you have done that as well. How do you make that shift?
Look, I think I've been raised, even though I was extremely privileged because my parents were very hardworking. My dad was an entrepreneur, and I worked myself from age 14. Like I was cleaning stables, and I never was out of a job from the age of 14 because my dad taught me that. So I think I did do some character building throughout my life, and I enjoyed, having own responsibilities and income, and in a form of being independent. Yes. So how did I then ended up in Cape Town? is a longer story. But I think I wasn't really finding my feet in the Netherlands. I was in Amsterdam at the moment. I think what I've discovered is that I was a lot more. I wanted to be a lot more feminine and be able to than what I was. I was trying to figure everything out myself, taking care of myself, not in healthy relationships, and yeah, I wasn't in a good space. I was dealing with panic attacks, which made me not want to drive my car anymore because it would be happening while I was driving. And I think the people that know me, that I always loved driving and having that freedom. So I think it was a bit of a wake up call that change was needed. And then I happened to end up, after finishing my master's degree, in Cape Town, a sort of an experiment, which became permanent. And I always say I'm a huge family person, but being in Cape Town, and even though that I need to miss them and my close friends, I feel just a lot better. I think the freedom here is very different than in the Netherlands. Everything is organized. There's a lot of high pressure. What I say, people have a certain trajectory in mind with career, and especially for someone who didn't find her passion work-wise. I think it was good for me to get out of there. And still, 6 years later, every day I think, oh, I'm very thankful because I'm so happy here. I really found my place to be. So
you have highlighted so many different aspects through your journey. I found it very fascinating, and also thank you for being vulnerable, for sharing the the fact that you were not doing well with a particular time of your life. You had panic attacks, which is something that happens, that tends to happen a lot in our society, and people barely talk about that. And also not being able to find yourself. But you also mentioned being more feminine.
yes,
Yes. What is being more feminine for you? What does that mean?
I think to summarize it, I think I needed a strong partner to be able to relax more into a woman, to be able to be nurturing, loving, supporting. That role, even though if you would have previously known me, suits me so much better. It gives me so much peace and happiness, and I feed off seeing my family being happy. So
that is the beauty of being a housewife. That is what you mean.
I think I think modern society demands a lot of women. In the Netherlands, moms often have a full-time job, a full-time household, multiple children, and I feel like it's impossible for me. That would not be. I would have done it, but I mean, you then do cut slack on other fronts. Then your partner needs to carry the family equally, or also step in quite a bit. So I think if for me that I can just focus on the family,
that is you. Yes. If I take your perspective and I compare to mine, there was a period that I was also a housewife. I never told that, but I was also a housewife. But it took me only a year because that is not who I am. So it is something that it has to be you. It has to suit who you are to the core. I am someone who likes to take care of things, and not only in my household but also outside of my household, also professionally. I like to go after what I want because that is how I am wired. So it is important for people, for females, for moms, listen to us, listen to yourself. What Rosanna did, she took a step back to find out what things make her happy, what things give her the sense of peace, of contentment. I have done the same thing. Of course, we went through different journeys, but none of them is less important than the other. We just have chosen different paths, and that is all. And I also want to highlight motherhood. What that means for you being a mom, full-time mom.
If I would say like what the job spec is that for one, I want to keep my partner happy, but then for the children, it's that we would raise together, independent, strong, socially strong children that's already, to be in this world. And I think that's is a very important thing. And you form also the kind of parents that they will be in the future. So there is a lot of value in that. And I'm not saying that people who are not full-time mothers are not able to do so. And I think it's a privilege that I can be a stay-at-home mom. And it's also not financially viable for everyone. But yeah, that's for me the key thing in motherhood.
And if you said what is the downside of being a mom in your from your perspective? I mean, I love my kids, but I don't always like them.
Well, besides on day-to-day challenges, I think that I can highlight a few, but I don't think they are as important. But what was nice, it was you highlighted it. What wires you is your passion in work, and I'm not saying that I will never get a passion again, or that this is my destiny to always be 100% stay-at-home mom. But the downside is that I'm not building anything else than my family. So the financial independence, there is no financial independence. I would love to do something on the side. I've just been battling with it. I haven't had enough passion to do so, not at this stage, or how you say energy left at the end of the day to do it. I think that's a downside. I would also love to make use of all the years that I studied and not be fully dependent. But I mean, I think you can't have all. Yeah, there needs to be somewhere a compromise in regards to motherhood. Like I'm the wrong person to talk to because I think I've been blessed with two incredible children that have been fairly easy. And I always tell people, yeah, it's my dream and everything and more. I'm quite resilient to sleepless nights. My lifestyle is quite boring at the moment in the sense of I'm very healthy, I sleep early, so it gives me a bigger capacity to deal with it. Yeah, I think the downsides can be is that especially as living somewhere else that isn't the area where I've been brought up, is you always, I personally have a need for community. And I think when you become a mother and also a mother in that immigrated, you lose connection with the people that don't have children, and it's hard. It's hard to find other. Yeah, it can be lonely.
The loneliness of motherhood.
Yeah, and
Yes.
there's so many views on how people do it. So also finding like-minded moms. Yeah, it's harder, I think.
It seems to be quite challenging. For me, when my kids were younger, my life was really between the kids, work and school. I get to say is that I made as much time as possible with them, but
Yeah.
I also was very demanding towards myself. And I had a village, though. Don't take me wrong. I mean, I had a village to support me. I have a great family. I have great friends. I never had to do it all by myself. Otherwise, that doesn't exist. Actually, that's why the name of my company is Let's Network. You build an own network to be able to get to wherever you want. And what you said is very imperative, the loneliness and being an immigrant, raising your kids elsewhere, different from your backgrounds, being able to find like-minded people, but also missing the connections with your friends that they are not living similar lifestyle as you are. You are the communication part, someone that can relate to your story, to what you're going through. It is important to highlight that. And
How
yes,
was it for you? Because what you said in the beginning is you were studying and you were in a very different life phase as me. And I think most students were in my life phase. So did you ever experience the loneliness back then? Because you also had your family.
Yes, I think I never allowed myself to feel lonely, but I think there was a period that I might have experienced mom's burnout, what they call, which is it's a term actually that is being used a lot in the English. That continuous fatigue that I was experiencing at the time because I was just doing too much. It was just a lot. And it was not because I didn't like it, because I actually enjoyed very much. Those were my choices. But the pressure that I also put it myself on, that was a downside. I wanted to be the perfect mom, but I also wanted to be the perfect student. I did the side job because when I was in house mom, I didn't like it. I enjoyed it, taking care of my partner at that time, but that wasn't me. Actually, I was not someone who you would think that I would be a mom, not at that particular period in my life, because I was a really true free spirit. I like to travel. I like just to do me, what I want, when I want, how I want it. I still am though. So I was quite driven going after what I wanted. Although I can relate to your story, I wasn't sure about what kind of career path I would have chosen. I didn't know that. Similar to you, that is why I've chosen that study. It was quite different, and I have experienced, I think, mom's burnout. Yes, it was a lot. Yes. And
Were
that
you
is
able?
also the misconception, by the way. We think that we get burnout of mommy's burnout when we don't like something, but sometimes you enjoy it so much that you overdo it. That is my experience.
And were you able to get out of it, or did you really need to make life changes then because your life had become too busy?
I made some life changes. It was a whole process also. Actually, I spoke a little bit about that in my previous podcast with a psychologist. It took me also a very scary moment. I was dealing with multiple physical impairments, and I call them the alarms in my life. You had your panic attack. I had migraine, for instance, and there was also a period that I couldn't drive my car because of the headaches. They were so intense. Those were very scary moments, and usually all comes down to our health. Our body will give the signs that something is not quite there. So yes, I've made few changes. I stopped also the side jobs that I was doing. I also have learned to become more loving, more compassionate towards myself. It was a very intense journey, but worth it. So I'm in a very good space now, very content. And again, I have done it all. I still did it,
Yeah,
despite.
you struggled it all. It's
Yes, but I wasn't. That is also a misconception. I think you mentioned that it is impossible to be performing 100% everywhere at the same time. That is just no. That is bullshit. Every time you are performing as a mom, you will be missing something, another aspect of your life, and vice versa. That is normal. So I have learned that also, to get frustrated when I didn't perform as well in another aspect of my life. I have learned that it is okay to not being performing 100% everywhere at the same time. That is bullshit. You can have it all, but not at the same time. And going being partner, you say you needed a stronger partner. You came to that conclusion.
yes,
You wanted to be more in touch with your feminine side. You wanted to be there for your family. What is the downside? You mentioned about when then I'm talking about the financial autonomy.
Mhm.
uh, Going from someone who was always used to work, you being raised actually to take care of your own things, to be so financially dependent on your husband, on your partner. How is
Yes.
that?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I must say I'm still not happy about being financially independent. Not independent, yeah. So it's something I would love to fix and work on. I've never been really good with my finances or saving up money. So it is in my character to be a little bit reckless with that. Yeah, and I think especially as I'm also a mother, you never know what's going to happen. I also owe it to my children to be a bit better about this. But yeah, what you say, I'm now 100% with the kids. I also love to use it as an excuse to not fix the issue. So yeah.
And what is the biggest challenge besides being reckless?
I think the downside of it is that it has, in a relationship, it's an imbalance in a sense of that there is power there for my partner. Not that he would misuse it, but I don't have that financial power. So it's not that I can just, I'm not implying anything, but it gives me less flexibility, in terms of life decision. I think it never bugs me because I'm very confident in my relationship and I'm in a good place. But if something would happen, then that's not in my favor. So
it is also important to mention that I think it's not fair that as soon as women decides to become a full-time partner, they have less financial power, because being a full-time mom and a partner, that is a whole other job. You are responsible for human beings, and looking from the financially side, you are saving lots of money, for instance, on daycare. You are investing in the quality, not quantity, of your relationship.
yes.
And if people would take time to calculate that in monies, you would see that you are actually equally, of maybe bringing even more to the relationship, even financially wise. It is important.
I think my partner is definitely someone on the better end of that. I think he absolutely rates it. So yeah, no, I think there's also a benefit to have your own responsibility. So for example, that he is responsible for that financial part, and I'm also not getting involved there. And I'm responsible for the children day to day, and he's also respecting that. And obviously, we are a team as parents, so on parental issues, we would have discussions, but still he respects me in my role. And I think that does really work for us, that we both have our own thing and that we can be respected in that. Yeah, I think of sense of worth, and
that is something that just building that in your relationship, that trust, that we both have our own roles in our relationship, that works for us. That is something to be aware of, and that he also acknowledges your part in that partnership. It's not that my partner is doing nothing. She's valuable to me, and what she's bringing to the table is very valuable. That is very important to mention. And many relationships, unfortunately, they don't have that luxury. And also, people with the money power, sometimes they tend to denigrate partner because she's not bringing the money part, which is really ridiculous. Don't you think? It's ridiculous.
In modern society, there's so many different ways of how you can set up your family. Even the guys can be stay-at-home fathers, or what's happening a lot, both working 4 days and helping with the kids. However you decide to do it, communication is key. What is important to you? How do you feel important within our family? What will make you happy on day to day? I know my partner doesn't want to be at home full time with the children. I think for a relationship, that's different. Yeah, and I think also when I realized what kind of partner I needed, I was also a lot more determined, or it was clear to me what kind of guy I needed to look for, that I want to have a family with. And I sometimes do say, like, I think a lot of guys in the Netherlands don't suit me because it is so all about equality, like 50-50. Yeah, I think it's just didn't work for me.
Even the dating life is about 50-50. Pisses me off. I think what 50-50? You're supposed to court me. What are you talking about? 50-50.
I agree.
like, oh my gosh, it's the society indeed. It's the way we have been brought up, communication indeed, and also indeed establishing your values, what is valuable for you in a relationship. Those are facts, yes. And I know that you are supporting an organization there
Yes.
for single moms. Why have you decided to do that?
So I happened to come across an organization based in Cape Town. They're called Thula Baba Project. And because I have more time, I felt I needed to have some sort of feeling of doing something useful outside of the family. And are we in the Netherlands, or I'm going to talk about myself or my perspective on it, but I was raised in a way that you would see those campaigns on the TV where they're raising money for poor people. But when you see that, you don't realize what poverty is. And we can all say, oh, yeah, I donated to this, but you don't really, you're not in touch with it. And Cape Town, where I live, there is a lot of poverty. And I happen I've been to government hospitals here, and I always say it looks like a war zone. It's unreal what it looks like. And then thinking of young mothers that going to a government hospital, giving birth, and they come with nothing. They then have their baby, and they go home to a situation. Also, it's terrible. And then they come home with just their baby. They don't have anything. So being confronted with that here, made me very aware how privileged my family is. I always been. So let's try to raise awareness for how it also is for other people. Let's not forget about it. And I think I was fundraising at a moment where there's so much going on in the world at the moment that also involves pains for mothers and children, that it's extra important that everyone, where possible, tries to help those people in need. So yeah, and this is close to my heart because I'm here. These are the people that are in my same community or community area. Yeah, definitely.
That is beautiful that you took the time to compare where you come from, but also to acknowledge the privilege that you have been brought up with, and to see that it is not to take for granted what you had, because that doesn't apply for many people, especially young moms. And you went through an whole process to fundraise. So take us to that process. What have you done?
I trained to run a marathon to raise money for them. So yeah, it was I think it was an amazing training process to go through. In terms of discipline, and I think we underestimate sometimes our physical abilities, and it was amazing to grow that strong to run a marathon. Yeah.
How was the pain of the training? Yes.
The training wasn't painful, but I think the last 6Ks of the marathon were the longest 6Ks in my life. But now it's fun. And I want to say it's also a huge privilege to have the time to train for a marathon. And
yeah, so Rozanne is still bringing awareness about that organization. She's still fundraising. So where can people find the link if they want to share their financial support?
I can share the link with you that you can put it underneath the podcast. Yeah.
Yes, I'll put it in the description of the podcast. Yes, for sure. I will do that. Thank you for our conversation. It has been a pleasure talking to you, sharing our experience, sharing our perspectives. Is there anything that you would like to share, advice?
I think it's in general very difficult, or it's been for me, to find what I want, or what would make me happy. Let's phrase it like that. I think everyone should invest some time in doing that, find what is important to you. You have one life. Live it the way you want it, and especially because we are in an environment where we can, in Europe. Is it career-wise? Is it motherhood-wise? You have a lot of options. So yeah, I think follow your heart and go for it. And I am becoming more and more an advocate for find your feminine power, get in touch with that. For me, also my intuition is connected to that. And I think once you you're strong on that level in that area, it brought me a lot of joy and happiness and peace.
That is so imperative what you just said. Get in touch with your feminine power. I lost touch with my feminine power a while ago. I'm getting in touch again because of the doing part of my life, making decisions. I'm being an entrepreneur, being a mom. You just lose sight of it, and that is something that I'm still working on it.
How are you working on it?
Just little things, letting go of control, being less opinionated. Yes, little things, but also accepting that it is okay to let go of control. I think letting go of control is the biggest things for me. I still love my masculine side, though. That need anyway. But I'm getting more in touch with the feminine side, yes. And it gives me also one more sense of peace.
Yes.
That is the biggest eye opener for me. Since I've been getting more in touch with my feminine side, I have a more sense of peace, which is wonderful. So you just gave tips, get in touch with your feminine side. Find out what is important to you. You only live, you have a one life, so you're supposed to live your life on your own terms. And I agree with you. And sometimes it might take you a long period of time to find out, but it is worth it. For me, it's been worth it. For Rozanne, it's been worth it. And she said, I'm still figuring out the financial part of my life. I don't know yet, but I will get there eventually. And I know that you will. You have your degrees. You're a smart woman. And besides that, you have the ambition to do so. So it's never too late. It just, be in the now, be happy now. Just do what works for you. Not because society is demanding from you, but look inside you to find your answers. Well, thank you for listening. If you found our conversation worthwhile, share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, financial autonomy and lifestyle, another destination. I want, I do, I can, I am. Thanks for listening, and until next time.